Hello, good morning. I'm coming to you live and it's time. It's time that I felt I had to come on Facebook. We've been posting stuff and it's time to speak out. So I just want to see who comes on, who joins me, because I really value your comments and I want to know what you're feeling and thinking at this moment in time. So yeah, it would be really good to enter into a dialogue about this, because it is a time for really standing up, to what is going on in the world. So we are in a time of change, a massive time of change. We're in a time, hey, I can see people joining. Rachel, Kate, so lovely to have you join me. I'm just starting to say that I couldn't not do a Facebook Live about speaking out, about standing up at this moment in our history, at this moment that is a big time of change for all of us. We have got to walk into our position. What are we doing if we don't speak out? So, you know, we all know what's happening in America and what's been happening to Black people in America, in the UK, across the world. We can't ignore it. We can't stand in our privilege, because it's so easy for us to say, I'm not racist, but we have to be anti-racist. We have to actively talk about this subject. We have to actively be uncomfortable, speak whatever is on our mind about what we see. And if we don't know it, if we don't see it, then we have to learn. We have to read, we have to watch videos, we have to go on social media and really find out, because for too long we have been just being complacent. There's so many words about equality and diversity and inclusion, but they're not really changing anything. It's a whole system that is keeping particularly the Black community down, a whole system that spans way beyond our time, back to slavery, and we can't ignore it. So often people go, oh, I don't want to hear about that anymore. But how can we not? How can we not hear about oppression? How can we not face the exhaustion, the pain, the hurt, the images of violence, of brutality? We have to see them. We can't pretend they're not happening. We can't walk in our life where we have privilege, where we feel safe, where my best friend is Black. I remember as a child, my best friend saying to me, and obviously I'm mixed race, Asian and white, so I am not Black, but her saying, I don't see you as Asian. You're no different to me. And I, even at that young age, I think I was probably about 8 or 9, I thought, but I am different and I want you to see me for who I am. I don't want to have to fit in with other people's ways of seeing, other people's ways of acceptance. It's not enough. And we have to have those conversations, whoever we are. We have to be allies, even if we think we might say the wrong thing, even if we think I don't know enough about it, I haven't experienced it. If you don't stand up and speak, who is going to speak? Black people have been trying to change this for over 400 years. Indigenous peoples have been trying to change this beyond that. It is about white supremacy. It is about systems that keep people in their places. And we can't turn away and pretend that isn't the case. I'm going to read you a poem that I wrote well, it's a writing I wrote on Sunday because I was so affected by what was going on, because maybe that will help you understand why I feel so passionate about this. So I'm sorry that I'm reading it because it's quite long, but here it is. It's called I'm Crying. I'm crying as I see the posts, the death, the pain, the endless brutality meted out to black people. I'm not black, but my children are. My husband is. I've experienced racist oppression as a dual heritage woman with Asian ancestry. But I'm crying at the world to see that it seems to be never ending, to see the trauma growing in a race whose trauma spans so many generations. Sorry if I cry. I'm crying that we still have to witness brutality, to see our brothers and sisters, our fathers and mothers, our sons and daughters of the human race dying, being killed, being murdered by the very people who are supposed to protect us. I cannot stay silent as a mother, as an ally, as a person of colour. I am with you, sharing this pain. You are not alone. I hear, I feel, I see, I witness. This is unacceptable. It is outrageous. It is enough, enough, enough. George Floyd, the most recent black person to die, calling out, I can't breathe. While I have breath in my body, I will speak out. I will call this racism out. I will not be silent. We need the whole of the human race to speak out. It is time for us all to come together, to speak out and stand up and stop this brutality. I want a world of peace, a world where my children are safe, where they can walk down any street, jog in any neighborhood, be seen, be heard, be respected, be loved. And you can see that I feel so passionately about this. Thank you, Kate, for all you say and speak out about all of this. Hi, Ray, thanks for joining. So, yeah, we've had conversations with so many people that are scared to speak, are scared to say the wrong thing, are scared not to be PC. But that shouldn't stop you. That should not stop you speaking out, because we're going to get things wrong. We're going to make mistakes and we can be corrected. We've got to learn that speaking out doesn't make you wrong. Speaking out means that more voices, more action, more people are recognizing what the systems that we live under in this world are. And that's what Mandala does. You know, this isn't me just speaking out because of what's happened to George Floyd. My whole existence, and before Mandala, when I worked at Pegasus Theatre, when I worked in Tara Arts, it's all been about speaking out about injustice, telling the stories of people who experience injustice every day, who live that world, who live in that story. And to some people, it's only a story. And the only way I know how to stand up for it all is through theatre. And I think theatre, as we know, those of us who are part of it, and performance, it can touch the heart. It can touch the heart and change people's thinking and maybe bring them to action. But we have to be willing to stand up in our sectors. This is something we were talking about in a group that I'm part of last night, the Transformational Visibility Group, with Jessica Huey, and Kate's part of that. We were talking about how can we stand up and be leaders and be uncomfortable and have those conversations that people maybe don't want to hear. And last year at an international festival we were at, my group, my Mandala young company made up of Black, Asian, minority, ethnic and white young people, all spoke up about a piece of theatre that we felt was offensive, that had a moment in it which depicted Black people in a particular way that was derogatory. And I don't think at that time many people understood where we were coming from. But yet we spoke out. We spoke out with compassion and not in an attacking way. We spoke out with understanding, but in a way where we hoped people would listen and would rethink images that they create. It's not that you don't create dark images or images that we don't want to see, but if there is no context that shows the other side, that shows why we're choosing an image, we have to be responsible for what we speak, for what we show, for what we write, for what we tell. It's no good just saying it's a story. It's more than a story. All stories have a context from where they're written from, the point of view, the time in history. And we today have to make that context clear, why we are doing something, why we are sharing that image or that storyline. And, you know, I also, within the theatre sector, I do have to speak out. I do have to say, you know, it's so hard for people in companies that are small, grassroots, often diversity led, to be on the at the table speaking with the bigger organizations. It's so hard, whether you've been in this business for 30 years like I have and then not get emergency funding. That's such a difficult thing to understand when our stories are all about young people experiencing, whether it's exclusion from school, which is our current project, when we know that 42% of people in prison in the UK were excluded from school as children. And many of those are from Black, Asian, minority ethnic backgrounds. Many of those are white working class backgrounds, are looked after young people, are young people with special educational needs. Why is society failing people? Because people want to hold on to their privilege, because people are too afraid to talk about it, to upset the apple cart, to stop having what they have and sharing it more equally, breaking down the systems that mean that we get the crumbs off the table, that we have to apologize for asking for funds, that we have to say why I don't understand, and that damages our self-worth. Look at the Black people in America, in the UK, who for time have been asking us to listen. How are they affected? What is the trauma inside? The trauma that goes so deep, that is intergenerational, that continues. It doesn't stop with one generation. There's scientific proof that trauma continues from one generation to the next. If your family, your ancestors were enslaved peoples, and still today you're in a position where you are brutally murdered, where you can't walk in the street, where people are scared of you because you are Black, because of the color of your skin, instead of saying, what are we doing in this world that is making us frightened of people, that is making us not try and make a difference, try and make a change. So I'm urging you, I'm going to post something after this Facebook Live, which I saw today, was a brilliant document about how you can educate yourself, whether you want to spend 10 minutes a day, 25 minutes a day for 2 weeks. It's a Google Drive document and it's out there for sharing. And I'm going to educate myself more. I don't know all the facts and the details. I do know that Marianne Williamson, who is speaking in America, a white woman who stood for Congress, but also coming from a very heart-centered spiritual place, she spoke so clearly about the historical the historical facts of what's been going on in the USA, and we need the same clarity of what's been going on in the UK. The fact that within our school curriculum, colonialism is not addressed. Colonialism and all the things that we have done as a nation, the disgusting, brutal, immoral things that have been done through history, they're not in the past because they affect our now. They affect why so many Black people are in poverty. It's all right to go, oh, there's this many people who have managed to achieve, who have managed to, you know, raise their status. But the majority haven't got there because, you know, look at the Windrush generation. That's happening now, the way that they're being treated when they were told and asked to come to this country, to come to the motherland. For all of you that know this, you know this. But all I'm asking, that we can't be exhausted with this conversation. We cannot walk away from it. We can't say this has been talked about endlessly. I'm tired of it. It is a moment in time, and the time might not be the tipping edge at this very day, this very month, but there is a tipping point coming, and we can't be silent. We have to be the allies. We have to speak out. So whether you're in a sector meeting where NPOs pay lip service to diversity and inclusion, or whether you actively say people have got to be at the table, they've got to be the ones distributing the funds, making the decisions, not that we are handed it in a patriarchal way, that we are given what's left, or we are given it to tick boxes, or we're given it because at the moment it's in vogue. It's a big, long-standing situation, and obviously there are many other injustices and inequalities. You know, obviously there's the disability agenda, which is equally as bad, where people are not having access to everything within the arts, to everything within life. There are many other struggles, but I am focusing right now on Black people's struggles because of the brutality, because of the innate racism that is there, the systemic racism that is within our system. But at the same time, I want to say we have to do it with compassion. We have to be heart-centered. It's no good accusing people and saying and attacking them for not speaking out. That's not what I'm trying to do. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say, with compassion, I ask you to speak the truth, to learn, to not be afraid, to be uncomfortable. Conversations within our families, conversations with work colleagues that may not agree with us, that we don't want to upset, that we don't want to have that conflict with. But if we don't speak, nothing changes. So coming from a place of love, of compassion, of understanding, but at the same time standing up, speaking out, questioning ourselves, questioning our privilege, questioning what is happening in our society, in our world, in our work. We have to do this. So thank you, and please share this with anybody, because the more people that talk about this, the better. I'm going to go and try to go to the Stand Up for Racism demo in Oxford, and it depends where it is, because it's got to be safe social distancing. And I do know, and I just want to say this, that there was meant to be a demo in Oxford in South Park at 1 o'clock today. And I know that many people with underlying conditions and many from Black, Asian, minority, ethnic backgrounds are frightened for a gathering to come there. There's people suffering from cancer who are having chemo. It's not the right place at this moment in time for a protest. So I would urge the organisers as well to come to the 6 o'clock one with Stand Up for Racism, and you just have to email them to find out where it is. And if it's in a place that feels safe to socially distance, then let's do it. Otherwise, we're going to have to keep talking in Zooms, online, you know, while we're in this still supposedly state of lockdown. So thank you. Sending my love out to all of you. Speak out, be brave, be courageous. Thank you for joining me today.